process it starts with just inspiration. Like I get inspiration from anything. I tell people this all the time. I love art, and I'm a fan of art, and I go to art gallery shows all the time. I see stuff. So my whole process just starts with the idea. Or I may see something, or sometimes it's just feel like the light bulb goes on. I can be watching television, and I'll pick up my sketchbook and I'll just start sketching out ideas, and then I'll take those ideas and I'll come to the studio or I'm at home and I'll just lay everything out on the computer, and then I'll just start going into the work slowly. But I always tell people that I don't make art for me to interpret to the consumer. It's for them to interpret it how they see it. I always tell people I don't make art for everybody. I make it for myself. And if people appreciate the work, great. If they don't appreciate the work, that's okay too. But my intent in the beginning, I never seek out to make this art for this person or that person. I make it for me because it makes me feel good. It makes me feel a sense of an accomplishment of a thought that I had to convey, and see how it came out. Sometimes it comes out great. Sometimes, in my mind, it comes out great. And that's the great thing that I loved about my girl who passed, because she was 100% honest with me as an artist and as a person. If she didn't like it, she would tell you, and we would go back and forth. But when she passed, I had to figure out when was the work good enough, because I didn't have that voice anymore. So it took a while for me to really overcome that and say, okay, your work is good enough. It's complete. You know, it's time to put it out. So as far as my process, that's really kind of how I go about the whole art thing. I like the idea of a packed house of friends and people, but I'm also of the understanding that that packed house may not be the people that are there to enjoy or actually appreciate artwork. You know, they may be there for the cheese and the wine and, you know, whatever else. So I've always been, you know, of the way of who are the right people. And those are the people I need to come out and see my work, or those are the people I need to put my work in front of, because those are the collectors, the buyers, the people who can, the consultants, the interior designers, all those people who can help further me as an artist. So I've always kind of gravitated towards that versus, you know, oh, it's a huge party. You got, you know, oh man, I packed the house. I got, you know, 100, 200 people here, but ain't nobody write a check, you know. And I've been saying this, I don't get excited when the gallery calls me or someone calls me and say, hey, such and such is interested in your piece. Call me when the check is written. Call me when it's, you know, when you say, hey, come pick up your portion of the check, you know. But then again, also I don't, and I've taken this from a lot of people over the years, that if the work is good enough, the people that want it will buy it. And I don't go into creating a piece for the sole purpose of if it's going to sell, because to me it takes away from the creative process. Like, okay, I'm creating this work for the money. I'm creating for the money. I'm creating for the love. If people appreciate it, somebody want to buy it, that's great. So when galleries show my work, or people see my work, and they say, oh, I appreciate it, I love it, and I get these phone calls and emails all the time, I'm like, well, great, thank you. But when I get the call and say, hey, they purchased it, I got a check for you, then I get it. Then I get somewhat of excitement. But until that, I'm just all about the work. Well, like you just said, like I looked at, when I really started taking it serious as an artist, like saying, you know, I can actually do something with this. What direction do I want to go in? And I would go to those art fairs and those street art shows, and art is you know as much as anybody, as well as I know, it's a grind, it's a hustle, there's a lot of hard work. But I saw the work that was put into these art fairs and the investment and the return on that investment, and it was something that even though I've always been a hard worker, it's just I'd rather concentrate my efforts and my hard work into something else. And so my route was to have my work showcased in galleries and around town. And this is one thing that her and I used to talk about also, just one gallery representation, having your artwork in the airport. We used to walk through the airport. These are all things that we talked about even before things started happening. I'm a big believer in spiritual guidance in the universe, and you put the energy out there, it'll come back if you put it out there. So leading all up to that, I was like, who do I need to contact? Who are the people? What are the circles I need to be in to make those type of connections, to make those type of moves? And I knew it was going to be a lot of knocking on doors. I knew it was going to be a lot of no's. I knew it was going to be a lot of this and that. But in the back of my mind, I also said to myself, well, I think I have something really unique that a lot of people don't have or not showing. So if I'm able to get a face-to-face or something with someone to actually show my work, I think that they'll appreciate it. And I've always felt that way. So just after kind of just navigating everything and trying to figure out who's who and what galleries it is and so forth and so on, things started to happen. Word of mouth started to go around, and people started to say, well, you check out Anderson's work. His stuff is really nice, it's different. And that's how I kind of made that decision to be in the space I am now, versus, the other conventional methods of art in this city. I'm working on 2 projects. The first project I'm working on that I'm looking to produce and to showcase next year is called Abstract Analog. And that is a project, an ongoing project for the last 3-4 years. And just to give you the context on the Abstract Analog, that's a merge of my father's work and my work. I have all my father's slides and negatives that he left me when he passed some years ago. He was a photographer, and a lot of his stuff is from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and it's a lot of great imagery. So the idea is to merge in his work and my work on the abstract side. His side is the analog, I'm the abstract, because I'm an abstract artist. And so that's a project that I'm looking to produce and work on for next year. So that's a big deal to me. Even though we weren't close, but we shared, that commonality as far as artistically and creative expressions. Oh man, this is this is one of the conversations I have all the time, man. I could talk about this for hours, but I just think that as long as I've been here in Atlanta and all of the things I've seen in Atlanta, especially on the art side, it's very cliquish, and it's a lot of politics within the art community. Atlanta is a city that has, in my opinion, has so much potential to be a top 5 art city because of the talent pool we have here, the infrastructure we have here, the airport we have here, the entertainment industry we have here, the sports complex and the sports industry that we have here. Everything is perfect for the making of a great city for art, but it's not because of some of the politics in it. And then when you look at black artists, African American artists, it's even more minimized because we are not afforded those platforms than our other counterparts, our white counterparts. And that's the one great thing, and I'm sure you probably already know about it, that how the High Museum has kind of had a shift with Killer Mike coming on board, and a friend of mine who's also on board, to bring more art, especially our art, into the mix. Because I say it all the time that it is so much talent in this city, and I would love for it, especially as a black artist, to see us take it to another level and push us into the forefront, to be in the same conversations as cities like Miami and New York and Chicago, within the States. And I think we have all the potential in the world to be that. And I honestly do believe, I think we will get that within the next, I would say, 5 years. Well, I think and believe that, one, we just really have to start supporting each other as artists. Like, I'm a huge supporter of my peers when it comes to art in general, and even more so with my fellow African American artists. Like, if I know of a show that's going on, I'm going to pop up to support. And I think a big portion of that is missing. And it just goes back to who we are as people and how we view things and our conditioning. Like, it's not always about the competition. I'm not in competition with you. I'm in competition with myself. So, but if you put out a great piece of work, or there's a write-up on you, or there's a story, or there's something, I want to be in tune to say, you know what, my brother over here is doing some big things that I want to be there and support. And the same, and it's reciprocal. So, and as far, and also as in the business aspect of it, even the younger generation that's coming up that may see an artist like yourself or myself or someone like Michi or or like a D.L. Warfield, some of those artists, just naming a few African American artists in the community, is to give them that game. Show them and teach them and tell them that, this is the road that I've taken. It may not necessarily be the road that you need to take, but these are some of the things that I've done that help me move forward. So education is a big key also that I think we're missing as well. And then just the politics and the marketing behind everything, and branding and who you are as an artist, and defining yourself in that culture. And culture, it's a huge culture, but then you take that part of the culture, and then there's a small culture as far as the African American artist community. And as us, I think we need to share and empower each other more, and to put those opportunities out there for not only us but the other artists that comes behind us, to give us even a bigger platform moving on to those 3, 4, 5, 6 years out, to kind of reshape the whole landscape of art in Atlanta.